So we're gonna go ahead and begin. My name is Carol Sides. I am the MOVE coordinator, and then also the Healthy Teaching Kitchen coordinator. So y'all are getting a small taste of hopefully what some future programming that the VA will offer with our dietitians. Healthy Teaching Kitchen the intention is to help you learn how to cook and bridge kind of nutrition knowledge with actually doing it. So our goal is to show you how to make some healthy recipes in a really fun and interactive way. We're going to be making first an edamame salad, and then we're going to make homemade hummus, and then we're going to be making tropical fruit salsa, and then we'll be pairing those with some chips and things like that as well. So I'll litter in some information kind of about knife skills today, some nutrition information too, and I hope y'all enjoy it. So we'll go ahead and get started with our edamame salad. So over here I have oil and vinegar, and sorry my bowl is very large. It's a large salad, so we got a large bowl. We have oil and vinegar mixed together. We're going to be making the dressing first, so I'll put those ingredients together for us. So let me grab my lime juice. So I have oil, vinegar. We're going to do a 1/4 cup of lime. So we'll pour that in here. You may, and I will tell you some easy options in case you don't want to get fresh produce, such as using lime juice in a bottle. So freeze lime juice? Yeah, you can freeze it in thaw it. And speaking of freezing, this isn't part of this demo, but you can actually take olive oil and freeze herbs in it if you want, kind of to help with saving some herbs since we're talking about sustainability today. All right, and then I have my garlic. So this garlic is already minced. I minced it ahead of time, so I didn't take as much time mincing that, but I'll kind of show you some knife techniques. It is very potent today. So the garlic that I chose, if you like garlic, you'll love it. If you don't, it's what it is.
It keeps vampires away.
All right, and then I already pre-portioned my sugar and salt. So this recipe has black beans, edamame, some corn, lots of fiber, but it is a little bit sweet to balance out the tanginess of that vinegar in the dressing. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my sugar and salt that I already measured, and then we'll just kind of whisk that together. Okay? All right. Now then, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my green onions, and we'll put that into our bowl in just a minute. So whenever you hold a knife, the best thing to do is actually to pinch it with your index finger and your thumb. So the reason we do this is to help with control of the knife. If you hold it only by the handle like this, it could slip either side. But when you hold it between your index finger and your thumb, it helps with control of the blade. And then after that, you just wrap the rest of your fingers around the blade like that. And then your other hand, you're actually going to make a claw. And the reason is we don't want the tips of our fingers out. It's easier to kind of accidentally chop them. And so you want to have a claw and then lightly rest your fingers on top and keep it kind of near the blade at the front. And you always cut away from you. One of my favorite knife techniques is to do a rocking motion. So as you're cutting, you're actually going to rock back and forth. And the reason is if you just chop like this, it doesn't always cut all the way through. So you'll notice when I just chopped those green onions, it actually left a couple attached. But when you do a rocking motion, it cuts through all of them kind of in this way. Okay. And then also it keeps your knife tip at a place rather than kind of picking it up and going. So a rocking motion is the best way. So we're going to go ahead and chop the green onions. We'll just go through. And I have 4 green onions here, and I just hold them like my little claw grip, and I work my way all the way down. And when you're chopping green onions, the white part can be a little bit bitter, but in the sake of saving some, we're going to go ahead and just chop all the way down until it gets kind of to the white part. And then what's cool about green onions is you can actually take these, put it into a little cup of water, and they'll grow back. So you can have green onions again and again, which is so fantastic. All right, so I'm just going to remove those. All right, so we have our green onions. Now I'll take my waste. I'll move these aside. You'll notice that I'm scraping with my blade up. The reason is if you scrape with the blade down, it'll dull your blade. We always want to work with a sharp blade. If it's dull, you could risk kind of going back and forth and it can slip. So it's really better to have a very sharp blade. You can buy pretty inexpensive knife sharpeners to help with that. And then we'll go ahead and move on to our tomatoes. So I'll be showing y'all something called a bridge cut. So you're gonna, again, pinch with your index finger and your thumb, wrap the rest of your fingers around. And then we're gonna take anything that's round. We want to have 2 finger points on it or 2 sides, and that helps it from rolling around, right? So if you try to chop it, it's just gonna roll around from you. So you don't wanna be chasing stuff down, and it's unsafe too. So we're actually gonna take the knife and put it between the bridge cut, and then we're gonna choo-choo, choo-choo, have the knife come through like a choo-choo train, okay? Under the bridge. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop these up as we're going. And then it's best to, once you have a flat edge, to cut on the flat edge, and that way it won't roll away from you anymore, okay? All of your edamame. So, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just scrape this into my bowl right over here. Okay, so I'm gonna add in my black beans now. So I'm just dumping in, this is 1 can of unsalted black beans drained and rinsed. So typically we want to drain and rinse our vegetables to get kind of the canning liquid off. And then a lot of times if it has salt, it'll cut down on our salt quite a bit. So we're gonna drain that. And then this is my package of edamame. This was previously frozen and I just thawed it. So I just stuck it in the refrigerator. Anytime you thaw something, you want to make sure and do it in a refrigerator if possible, or run it under cold running water, never under hot water, never on the counter. So safely thawing, this is in your little packet that talks about how to thaw things. So we're gonna just open this up and add it so you can see how vibrant and beautiful these edamame beans are. And then we'll... I have bought these at Walmart. I bought them at United here locally. So the VA does not endorse any grocery store. However, those are the places where I have found this. And then this is just previously frozen corn. You can also do canned and then drained and rinsed, but I just thawed this corn. So I'm gonna actually grab my 3 cups of corn. So 1, 2. If you don't like black beans, you don't like corn, you can just leave these things out and just use a little bit less dressing. That's an option. So I'm going to grab my 3 cups of corn. So I'm going to just go ahead and mix this together. And I'll kind of tilt it so y'all can see. It's bright, it's vibrant. You can kind of smell that vinegar dressing, the garlic, if you like garlic. Of combining fruit, it's combining vegetables, a little spicy in our jalapeno. So I'm a big fan of this recipe. It's kind of fun. We're gonna serve it with chips, but you can eat it like on your favorite fish taco if you are into that. And it's really good kind of with like Mexican food. So I do want to highlight on here, the recipe is a lower sodium recipe too. So a lot of times jarred like salsas, and dips are higher in salt and sodium, and so this one in particular is a lower sodium option, so I just wanted to highlight on this. So again, we're going to hold pinch at the top of the handle, and then we're wrapping our fingers around. I'm going to show you all 2 different ways to cut a bell pepper. So the first way, I'm going to call it restaurant style, and I like to do it like this because it makes it really pretty. So I'll kind of walk through afterward how to do our country style. These are not formal names, they are just pretend names, so don't go around and be like, I know how to cut a restaurant style bell pepper. So we're going to chop off the top like that, and we're actually going to turn it around and chop off the bottom as well. I like to cut it like this if you have a more flat bell pepper. So if yours is more like rounded like this, I'll show you a different way to cut it. So after that, we're just going to make a slit down the side, okay? And then we're actually going to open it up, okay? All right, this is your waist. Look how tiny that is, right? So you're using a lot of the bell pepper, which is really nice. You always want to take out seeds, because if you accidentally chop a seed, your knife will go. So they're just really tough, and you can end up, going wonky with your knife. So I'm just going to throw, take out all the seeds here. All right. Okay. And then after that, you can just kind of cut these into segments like this. Now, you can see there we go. Let's get all the bottom off. If you don't like as much of this white part, you can actually just kind of slide your blade in there and chop like the white parts off. That's just part of our waste. All right, so now you have this kind of flattened section of the bell pepper, and we're actually just going to kind of cut it like so. All right, so you're having strips now. So these would be lovely with your hummus, and they look really pretty, right? So if you're trying to serve and, please a crowd, this is a good way to cut a bell pepper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just chop the rest of this up. All right, and then since we're putting this into a salad, I like to dice it. I already diced my fruit here. It has a little bit of the liquid on, and I also put all my lime juice already in this too. I diced it pretty small because I like the fruit and the vegetables to be small in a salsa, but if you like it chunky, you could do it so. I used frozen thawed of both pineapple and mango. So this is one that, if pineapple and mango are in season, if you don't feel comfortable going off the directions to core a pineapple and do a mango, then this is an easy alternative. You can also use canned as well. So I made this at home. I used canned. It still tasted really good. I preferred the frozen though. So you can use those options. So I'm going to just chop this real kind of fine, similar sizes to how I chopped my fruit. So I'm just moving my hand along in that claw to keep things safe as I'm going, okay? All right. Okay. And you can kind of just scrape off the food off the back. And I'm just going to move it aside so I can do my next piece. I'm going to take off part of this bell pepper and then cutting into strips. All right. Okay. And then dicing fine. Does anyone know how to chop an onion? No. Do y'all want to learn real quick? I love cutting onions, and it was something whenever I found out I was very excited about because onions are so annoying to cut to me. So when you chop an onion, you take the full onion, you actually chop it in half. You can peel it first, but I like to actually just chop it in half and then peel it because it has like little ridges that you can peel off really easily. And then you're going to chop the root end, and then you chop as little as you can off of, you chop the end that's not the root, and then the root end, you leave like a little bottom. So you want as much as the root with getting the nasty part off. And then you take your onion, so the root's on this side, you take your onion like this, and you actually slice it this way, okay? Just like a couple until it's close to the top. And then you go through and slice it this way. And then after that, you go and dice it. And it's perfectly diced. It's amazing. So you can actually look at videos of this. If in the future we do an onion in our healthy teaching kitchen, then I will gladly show you. I just thought it was so miraculous whenever I learned how to do that because it's just such a unique way. And people that are in the restaurant business are like, we knew how to do this forever, but me in my country kitchen, not necessarily. All right, lost the little guy there. All right, so I'm going to tell y'all how to do a country style bell pepper. So if your bell pepper is not flat on the bottom, then you would chop off the top like we did here. And then you would, you can turn it over so it's steady on the bottom. And then you would actually do like a banana cut is what I call it. So you would slice along it, and then you would have that same core left over afterward too. Okay, so now that we have the little pieces, since we're just dicing, I'm actually just going to dice this up too. So I'm just going to cut it again into strips, and then come over here and dice the rest. And we want to use as much of the pepper as possible. I like to have as little waste, and that way you're still getting quite a bit, and you can actually just pinch off these sides too if you want, or cut them. So I'm actually just going to top around the pepper. so that I have this extra part that I can use and I'm not wasting the bell pepper.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may. Would love it.
I know that you can save certain vegetable scraps to make vegetable broth.
You can.
Can you save like the green top of the pepper for that? Or
You know, I've never done that. I don't know the answer to that. I feel like I wouldn't put bell pepper flavor into a broth, but I don't know the answer to that. Does anyone
Carrot,
else?
celery,
I'm like,
onion.
I don't know the
Because
answer.
I typically just put carrot, celery, and onion. But then
That's typically what I do is the scraps from that. Like if I peel a carrot,
Yeah.
if I wash it and then peel it, I'll use the scraps and make vegetable broth. Or so I love that you point that out. It's a really good sustainable way to reuse scraps from vegetables, which is fantastic. But you know what? I don't know the answer to that question.
Dr. Google it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just finishing up chopping this pepper. Okay, and then the last two things that we're going to be chopping today are a jalapeno. So we'll be a little bit spicy today. And then we're also going to be doing some cilantro. So I'm going to do my jalapeno first. So I'm doing this probably pretty similar to my, so chopped off the top. And then I would highly recommend using gloves for your jalapeno. That way you're not traveling around with jalapeno on your hands, rubbing your eyes. And then I'm going to do a bridge cut. So I'm holding it, coming through with my train, pulling that through, and then you have the seeds on the inside. So I'm just going to use my spoon to kind of scrape out the seeds. I'll just do it on this plate behind me, right in front of me. So I'm just scraping out the seeds here. Again, you don't really want seeds in like a salad when you're chopping a jalapeno. So I'm just kind of scraping this out. You can use I like to use a smaller spoon to do that.
Taking out the seeds and the webbing also reduces the heat.
Yes.
Yeah, the seeds is where the hot.
Yeah. So I like to leave seeds in when I'm making like jalapeno cornbread and stuff like that. But for a cold salad, for y'all, it's not going to be that spicy. But it might be. I can't promise. I make no promises. All right, so I'm just going to scrape those seeds off from here. All right. Okay. And then again, we want flat, so I'm actually going to put this, let me move some of this aside so you can see. So we're going to do it flat and then cut into strips, and then we're going to dice just like the bell peppers. Okay. We're going to turn it to the side and dice. There you go, little friend. I hear if you talk to your food, it goes better. Okay, and then I'll do my other side of this, and this is a giant jalapeno, so we're just gonna see how it goes, y'all. Do y'all know the difference between herbs and spices? What's that question? What are the difference?
Are herbs leaves?
Uh-huh. So herbs are leaves. They're the leaves of the plant. So think cilantro, which I have right here. And then the spices are the root, the bark, or sorry, not the root, the bark, the seeds. So think coriander, right? They grind up this seeds from the cilantro plant. Cinnamon, right? So they use the bark from the cinnamon. That would be a spice. That's how you can tell. I had someone ask me at our last class about garlic, right? So we use garlic and is it an herb or a spice? It's neither, it's a root vegetable. But we use it as such, right? We use it as a seasoning a lot of times, but it's neither. Okay, so this is my garlic. I will tell you that it's a little bit wilty, and the reason is I did not put it in water. Shame on me. So when you're storing cilantro, you want it to be in water in your refrigerator. Any root like this, you put the stems in. So it keeps it fresh for a really long time. And I just chopped off a little bit. We're using a tablespoon of cilantro. Apologies to anyone that thinks it tastes like soap. But it's going to be in our dish today. And I'm just picking off some of the roots. If you have, sometimes vegetable or like kitchen shears will have a hole on them where you can actually stick the stem through, and it'll just take off all of the herbs. So if you're fancy and you have that, it's fantastic. Otherwise, you can do it like me and just kind of pick off the parts.
Why do you want to keep your cilantro in the water?
It keeps it fresh, so it won't wilt if you put it in the roots in water, or the stems in water. Kind of similar to, I guess, like the green onion, where it'll kind of grow back. It'll just keep it fresh for longer and it won't wilt like this. Okay. And it's not bad. This isn't, you know, this has been kept for less than 5 days. It's not anything bad. It's just that it is a little bit wilty, but we're chopping it, so it'll be fine. So if you have herbs, you can kind of roll them a little bit, and it'll increase the surface area. So I'm just kind of rolling this up, and then we'll go through and just chop it fine, roughly. And then after that, you can go through and kind of just chop like this, holding the top of your blade. This is actually how you would mince garlic. So if you have garlic, you would kind of chop it a little bit and then go through and go like this and chop it really fine. The finer that you chop herbs and things like peppers, the finer that you chop, the more surface area there is, which means that you will get more flavor. So if you have the more you chop it, it will have more of a cilantro flavor. So that feels good to me. So I'm actually just gonna rake this into, yeah, it's really good. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of rake this into my bowl. Yeah, that cilantro is a little smelly. Alright, great. And then I believe I had some salt, yes. I'm adding a little bit of salt. You can omit this if you're watching your sodium. So it's a 1/4 teaspoon, not too much. And then we will mix it. So it makes a very, very vibrant, beautiful, nice fruit salsa. I like to recommend color when you're making your snacks and your plates. Why do y'all think that is? Color.
It's more appetizing.
Okay, I love that. I like that you said that. It's more appetizing, right? So our food just looks very vibrant and pretty. All right. Oh yeah, we're gonna save this because we're gonna serve it in here. And then next, I'm gonna add in my olive oil. So I have my little olive oil portioned out already, so I'm gonna dump that in. Yummy. I'm gonna add in my lemon juice. So lemon juice here. All right. And then this is just salt and pepper, just a little bit of seasoning. If you're trying to watch your sodium or decrease your salt, you could use less if you wanted to. So I'm gonna dump that in. And then next is my garlic. So again, this is very potent garlic, so it might be a little spicy, just warning in advance. And then after that, I have some paprika here that I'm gonna wait and add in a little bit. So we're gonna be putting paprika kind of as a garnish on top because it adds some flavor and makes it look really pretty. And then the other thing is, if you want to dress up your hummus, you could put olives in it. You could do caramelized onions on top. You could do roasted red peppers, sun-dried tomatoes. There's lots of ways that you can kind of make it yours, which is really fun. All right, so again, magic ingredient, I say magic just because a lot of people aren't familiar with it, is tahini. So tahini is smooth sesame seeds. It gives it a specific flavor of hummus. You can use this also in dressings. So if you make your own dressings, you can do a tahini dressing, and it's very tasty. So I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of tahini, and this one's really fancy because it's a squirt bottle. But you can buy this in a jar, and that's typically how I've seen it. So you can see it's a very smooth, very creamy dressing. It's really good in homemade dressings. All right,
Has
so
anybody ever heard of chocolate hummus?
I have. I've never tried it though.
It is so good.
Do you like it?
They usually sell it in like the produce section, and it's really good with strawberries. So it's a dessert, so it's a sweet substitute. Really,
Perfect.
really tasty.
This is going to be very loud when I start to blend it because it's a blender. So just if you're sensitive to loud noises, if you want to step out or just be aware of that. All right. Patrick will be loud. Okay. So I'm going to turn this on. And so I haven't added any of the canning liquid in. You can use as much as you feel necessary. So I'm just going to kind of rough blend it first, and then I'll add in the canning liquid. So I can already see it's kind of not moving as much anymore. And I'll kind of raise this up so y'all can also see it. But it's not moving, but it's kind of rough chopped. So I'm going to add in a little bit more of that canning liquid just through the top. And you can use a food processor. You can use a blender. Well, that's not wanting to come off for me, so I'll just take the top off. I'll probably add about half. When I did this, I used all of it before. So, okay. And then I'll put the top on. Okay. Always put your top on your blender. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just spatula this out. So I'll use a rubber spatula. It's really easy to get all of it out, and you can kind of see. Let me turn it. It's a very smooth. I like to use this as a dip with either cracker, like a whole grain cracker, or carrots, or red bell pepper or something like that. And it's really tasty. It gives some fiber and protein to a good snack, or you can eat it kind of as part of your lunch. It's a really delicious blend. So